here for part 7. Today we are going to take a closer look at how transaction works in the SQL Server and why they matters when you are building reliable systems. If you missed part 6, I recommend watching that first so you have the groundwork in place. It will make today's session a lot easier to follow. Alright, let's get started. So today we will discuss the transaction in SQL Server. So let's think of a transaction as a promise. Your database makes either the whole group of steps happens or none of them do. In another way, a transaction is like sending a sealed package. You either send the whole package commit or you open it and put everything back how it was, like rollback. A transaction is nothing but a set of SQL commands that will execute as a unit or a single block. A transaction contains TML commands and is mainly used to provide security for the data in the table. Transaction makes sure that your database stays consistent even when there are errors or failure happens. Transactions are used heavily in the banking, accounting, inventory, and the payroll systems. So here is the basic syntax of transactions. This is the explicit transaction. So begin transaction. Here so here is the begin transaction. Then we are updating. We use the update statements inside the transaction. If everything goes good, then we can commit the transaction, and if something goes wrong, then we can roll back the transaction. Let's see this in real time. Okay. So here before doing that, let's see the value of account table. Okay. So here for the account ID 1, account name is John Carter, email is john.carter@example.com, and the balance is 1300, created it, and this empty. Okay. So let's execute this transaction. So inside this transaction, we are going to update the account. Okay, for the account ID 1 and account ID 2. Let's execute this. Okay. Now let's check values. So it gets updated balance. Okay, means everything works good. Okay. Now consider that there is some exception occurs. Okay, let me comment out this section. Now let me execute this. Okay, now let's see the value 1200 and 550.75. Okay, before that let me execute this. Now two rows are affected. Let's check the value. It's updated. Okay, now let me roll back this transaction. Consider that there were some exception or errors. The transaction was rolled back, and let's see the values. So it's reverted back to the original value. Okay. So here some points we need to note. So the begin transaction, it creates a local transaction. Commit transaction makes changes permanently into the table. Rollback transactions undoes changes since the begin. Okay. Now the types of transactions. There are two types of transaction. One is the implicit transaction and the explicit transactions. So let's go in details for the implicit transaction and the explicit transactions. So implicit transactions, it auto commits. Okay, so SQL Server auto commits its statements. This is the default transaction type. Single statement auto commit. it is the default transaction in SQL Server. When the SQL command execution is completed, then commit will work automatically and changes will save permanently in the table. Implicit transaction will be created by the SQL Server. Okay, let's check this in a real time with this example. Okay, so let me uh, get the data from the EMP table first. Okay, so you can see the last employee is Ajay. Okay, let me execute this. Okay, now one row is affected. Let me get the data for this. So the last one is inserted. Okay, so means it committed automatically. Now the second type is explicit transaction. This transaction will be created by the user or the SQL Server developer. To start the transaction, begin transaction is used. To close or end the transaction, rollback or commit is used. This is most common and recommended method of the transactions. You start, commit or rollback manually. Okay, so let's here is the syntax for the explicit transaction. Begin transaction, then some SQL statements, then if everything goes right, okay, then we can commit the transaction, or if there were some error occurs, then we can roll back the transaction that we have seen earlier. Okay, so one point here is to remember is that rollback is used to cancel the execution of SQL commands, and commit means the changes will be saved permanently in the table. So some points to be we need to remember in the production system. Every data modification like insert, update, delete should be wrapped inside the transactions. Always log error and rollbacks. Its silent failures are worse than exceptions. Use transaction with isolation levels for concurrency control. Keep your transaction as small as and fast as possible. Long transaction block the users. Okay, so the save points or the partial rollback in the transaction. So save points are lifesavers in complex flows. You can undo part of a transaction without wounding the whole things. Here is the example. Okay, so begin transaction, update order, set status equal to processing where ID equals to 1. Here is the save transaction, save transaction point, save 1, that is the save point. Then use the update order, set status equals to failed where ID is 1. So here we are roll back to the save point, undo only after save 1. Okay, so for that we use the rollback transaction save 1 and commit transaction. Let's see this in real time. Okay, so before this we can check the what is the data inside the order table. Okay, just wait. Okay, okay, let's make use of dbo. Okay, okay, now let's execute this. So here you will see the details of the order table. Okay, now execute this. Okay, sorry, here is column name is order ID. Let me update this ID with order ID. Okay, now let's execute this. So two rows are affected. Okay, let's execute this and get the data. Okay, you will see the data. Okay, so this is about the save points in transactions. Now how errors are handled in the transactions. So when you are working with a transaction, always combine them with the error handlings. Always handle error and ensure rollback on the failure. For this, you can use try catch that ensures that your data stays consistent. If an error happens, you roll back, otherwise you can commit. Okay, let's uh, see in the real time. Okay, so here we can use the try catch. Okay, inside for the transactions. Let me execute this. Okay, the first one row is inserted. Okay, when then we are updating the employee with the salary divided by 0, then these statements cause the error. Okay, so it gives us the so here we get the error, then it came here. Okay, in the catch block. So here it's roll count, transaction count is greater than 0. Okay, and so it rollbacks the transactions, and now we are declaring a variable error message. So here for the logging the error message, and then we are using the trace error to print the details. Okay, so message 50,000 level 16 state 1 line number 11. Okay, so you can see the line number 11, and here is transaction failed, and it gives the message that is divided by 0, error encountered. Now here is some explanation of that. If any error occurs inside the transaction, then the catch block rolls it back automatically. Okay, this is critical for maintaining data integrity in production databases. And some notes are here. Always wrap critical operations like insert, update, deletes inside the try catch block. You can prefer throw over raise error in SQL Server 2012 and later. It's cleaner. Always include rollback in your catch block if you use transactions. Log detailed error info using the error number and the error message for auditing purpose. Keep transactions short. Okay, do not do the UI work inside the transactions. So some like waiting for user input, it will block until the transaction exit will executes. Okay, avoid unnecessary locks, index properties. Prefer optimistic concurrency, row versioning when many readers and few writers. Log meaningful context in the error handling like transaction ID, user ID, operations. Test under load to see log contention and deadlocks. Reproduce and fix. You can monitor using the sys.dm translog dm underscore execute underscore request. Then sys.dm underscore os underscore waiting underscore tags for live debugging. Okay, if you are getting value from this session, take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe to Tech channel. It helps the community grow and ensure you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you.